How's it going? I'm Ryan, and today I'm going to go over the one trade that I took on NQ. Took a short once the market had rejected off of a key level of mine and continued to look weak. Played out pretty well, made just under $350 off on the day off that one trade. And let's get into it. But before we do, let's take a look at some of the levels and what I was watching coming into the day. So we'll pull up the 4-hour chart of NQ here. We have a few levels that are relevant. We have yesterday's low of day. We have this level here around 21,494. We have this level up here at 21,608. And then we have the high of yesterday as well, which has not come into play. But these three have. And so coming into the morning, we had seen yesterday a big sell-off. We held support down here where yesterday's low was. Through the after hours and the pre-market, we saw a move up to the upside. And then that kind of continued into this morning as well. So coming into the day, we opened with price right here, kind of in between these two levels. The main thing that I was watching is if we pull back to this level, do we hold it or do we break below it? This right here was the pre-market high. So waiting to see how we react to the pre-market high and see if, we're kind of bouncing off this level, see if we break that pre-market high and then get continuation up to this level, which we ultimately did. Yeah, so reactions to this level, and that pre-market high is pretty much what I was watching. So I'll open up the 5-minute chart. To start the day, we started to sell off a little bit. We kind of tested that pre-market high and then had a bit of a sell-off, but ultimately closed that 5-minute candle pretty strong with a really long wick and closing near the top of the candle there. Following candle, we break above pre-market high, and from there we see some volume come in and take us pretty high. This candle's 35-point spread on a 5-minute candle, very bullish. And then we get this. This was probably the first opportunity to take a trade this morning that I missed. But we notice we get like a shooting star pattern, and it's on very high volume, right? Almost as high as the massive bullish candle that brought us up to this point. And if we look back, you can see that that is also kind of like this wick here, previous wick that we broke through yesterday of support. Now that area would be considered as resistance as we approach it. I have my level drawn a little bit higher in terms of like a more solid concrete level of resistance, but this one acted, and you can see we hit that level. Looked pretty bearish. The reason why I did not enter a short here, the 5-minute looked good, but the reason why I didn't, so I was watching the volume on the 2-minute, and you can see the volume's increasing as we push higher. That's a good thing. That's what you want to see. That volume's increasing on these bullish candles. That looks strong. And then this candle here, a lot of the volume came from that bullish candle. And then the next two candles that look weak, this bearish candle and kind of this like shooting star hanging man, are both a significant reduction in volume. So I thought, all right, we've been really strong on this move up. We have a slight pullback, which we'd expect, but it's on lower volume, which tells me maybe that there's not as much selling going on. But that was wrong, right? You see that following couple candles, the volume jumps back up and we get a big move to the downside. So didn't take that because I was kind of watching the volume on this 2-minute, and to me it looked like it was still pretty strong, too strong to take a short. From there we pull back, we create a slightly higher low than the low of day, and then we make our way right back up. But the one thing that I'm watching is, once again, I'm watching volume, I'm watching price action. So you notice like this move up, the volume is kind of decreasing from previously. That's to be expected. The first few minutes of the day are always the highest volume. But on the 2-minute, you see that as well. You see good volume on these initial candles. And then you see some volume fall off and some weaker candles with wicks to the upside and a narrow spread, narrow body. And then that continues, right? This is a little bit better, but then we get this, and especially coming right at this level where I'd expect to act as resistance, we see volume pretty high, but a weak close, another weak close, another weak close, volume dropping as we push up to test it again, weak close, and then we see volume start picking up again as we start to sell off from that point. We also get that 3-candle pivot high, right? The middle candle has a higher high, higher low. The ones to either side of it have lower high, lower low. So that was kind of, the the pivot high candle pattern at an area of resistance. We see, you know, kind of weak price action and volume on the 2-minute. So everything looks pretty good to the downside here. Didn't get in here, kind of was thinking about it, but did not. From there we dropped, we got this drop, we broke through the 13 EMA, right? We see a pickup in volume as we come up and hold this. This is the 48 EMA. But there we form what I was watching, and to me it looked a bit like a bear flag. So you can see we're kind of in this, and that line might be hard to see on the screen. But we start to form that flag, right? And you can see it here. We get that drop, we start to kind of flag. And what am I watching? I'm watching that it remains pretty weak, right? We have higher volume on these two candles, these red rejection, or, you know, weak candles, rejection off that EMA, than we do the green candles. Green candles are pretty low volume. This one's low volume. Rejection candles are higher volume. And yeah, we had sold off below that EMA. We were kind of forming a bear flag. We were rejecting off of it. And then once we broke right here on the 2-minute, right there's my entry. You can also see that on the 5-minute. So I entered 6 contracts. I shorted 6 contracts right here. My stop was above this wick. So it was about it was 25 points was my stop. My target was 30 points down here. My initial target here, which kind of puts us around that level of interest, that pre-market high. And then my runner was at 40 points, which is right here. You can see we sold off pretty well. I felt good about it because you see the high volume on the selling candles, like volume picking up as we're selling down. Everything was kind of checking out. We were breaking below and holding below those EMAs on the 2-minute. The bounces that did happen were pretty low volume and didn't really concern me. So yeah, why did I place my stop above this level? Because I figure anytime you get a flag break, it's typical to get a retest, and that's kind of like what this was, right? We get the flag break, we get the retest, and then we continue down. So if you buy the breakout, you have to definitely price in a little bit of a stop loss, because you might get it priced to bounce back up into that range and retest it again. And sometimes if your stop loss is too tight, you can get stopped out by that when it's just simply a retest. So I moved it up a little bit more, just thinking that, you know, if we broke above these little candle highs, I debated putting my stop above those candle wicks, but I figured that price could easily wick back up in here just to reject again. So I put it at the next little candle wick, and I figure if we clear this and we clear that we're probably not going to head all the way down here, you know, maybe, but unlikely. So that was the thought process behind the stop loss. Take profit was just kind of looking at price action. 30 points was a little bit below. I think I moved it up 2 points just to kind of get it up at the top of this range, knowing that there might be some support in this area, which didn't quite actually impact price, but just to be safe. And then the other one was just a default 40 points, and it also happened to be right at that 200 EMA. So it all just kind of worked out. That's the second trade I've taken on the funded account. You see a profit of 347.76, so just under $350 on the day, just one trade. And yeah, we can look at what price is doing, kind of reacting to these levels. We see we rejected off this level, pulled all the way back down to this one, held a support very shortly, and then broke down, and now we're kind of rejecting off that level and making our way down closer towards yesterday's low a day. But that's all I got for you. Thank you very much. I'm going to be traveling this week, so might not trade or stream tomorrow, but I will be looking to do so Thursday and Friday. So should be around, but I am going to be out of town for the holidays. I'll bring my laptop and continue to try to trade and keep things updated, but just a heads up. All right. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Peace.